You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
Dr. Steve G. Jones here, riding down Route 66 with my good friend Jason Augustus Newcomb. Jason is driving, I'm holding the iPhone. We got trucks passing us. We're in a convertible bug. Is that what you call these things? A bug?
I think they do call them bugs, but I think they're named beetles.
Beetles. We're a convertible beetle. We got the top up, so the top's not down with it super windy, but because it is a convertible, it lets in a little bit of noise. Seeing some beautiful snow-capped mountains off in the distance. So I'm gonna take pictures and work the iPhone for the interview, and we are going to talk about.
You are a multi-talented man, Steve.
I'm all over.
Dr. Steve.
Well, that's right. Jason gets in trouble when he doesn't call me Dr. Steve. He knows to duck in fear when he just says Steve. So yes.
So I wanted to mention that I feel like our conversation, as much as you're helping me, I feel like I think you're letting some Steve out that people might not know. The funny, charming Steve, like witty Steve.
I'm a funny, charming, witty guy.
Yeah,
one must admit. That is, and it comes out on times like this.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you're that way all the time, but I'm sorry. I haven't seen every interview you've ever done. But
I'm not like that usually in interviews. Usually, in these, I'm interviewing you primarily and helping you and so forth, and answering a lot of your questions. And you're answering mine about metaphysical things. So it's a slightly different format than usual. But normally when I get interviewed, it's just about my work, and it's kind of cut and dry, and here's hypnosis.
I saw you on The Millionaire Matchmaker. And,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard about that show.
Do you remember that you were on
Vaguely. What happened there?
Well, I felt like the way that they cut you, I was like, they're not really showing Steve's personality much at all. You ended up seeming very nervous and silly,
When I filmed that show, I was in the emergency room the night before with pancreatitis. Oh my God. A squeezed up gallbladder. That's my medical terminology. Squeezed up gallbladder.
Okay.
My gallbladder had contracted. I had a pancreatitis where I was leaking amylase and lipase for those medical people interested, and they found a 4-millimeter kidney stone in my right kidney.
Wow.
All the night before we filmed. And so when we got in the filming thing, I was surfing and stuff, I was still doubled over sometimes. Yeah, because my pancreatitis, my shriveled up gallbladder, which I later had removed, were really bothering me. And I thought that, who knows? I mean, pancreatitis, what does that mean? Is it pancreatic cancer? I mean, I was like, all these thoughts going through my head.
You were in a weird headspace.
Exactly. I was not in the zone at all. And they were trying to set me up with all these women who were interested in a millionaire, and I thought, this is a lot of stress. So anyway, but I did enjoy doing it. And that, speaking about marketing, that kind of stuff does help build your brand, because any appearance you can make, they say there's no such thing as bad publicity. Any appearances you can make, and you said that although you have a few published books, not self-published, but with actual publishers, you have a few published books, but in the last few years, meaning like since 2007, is that right?
Probably the last, before, I just did a podcast with someone recently. It was a great conversation.
Unlike this one.
No, similar to this one, although I know you better than I knew him, so this is a little more fun. But it was probably 2009 was the last time I did a podcast.
Wow. Okay, so that's a while ago. Yeah. So staying in the mix, doing stuff, doing interviews, doing TV stuff, getting written up in magazines, letting people pick your brain and having it recorded like we're doing now, and putting it on a podcast like we're doing now, and putting it on YouTube, which we're also going to do with this. That kind of stuff is good. It's just good exercise for you and good publicity.
Okay, so here's a question that relates to this. I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few days. You've done a pretty good job of getting yourself on local TV in various places, and getting yourself into magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. How do you approach that? Do you just call them, or have your secretary call them, or?
That's always different. It depends. And what I do is,
if you want to get in the paper, what's your process?
Okay, now when you say the paper, do you mean a local newspaper?
You want to get in the local newspaper in the place where the town where you're appearing for some event. What's your process?
Well, I rarely appear for any events in any towns. I don't. I'm not like a traveling show. Yeah. Step right up. And you hear about me in the paper.
Okay. We'll retract that way of saying it. But let's say you want to get on CNN because you have a new product coming out, and you think that it's enough to get a story about
CNN. Now that's a tall order to get on CNN. The only time I've appeared on CNN was when I was interviewed by CNN for something, I think they call it Sky Radio, and you pay $5,000 and you get interviewed, and all my business partners said that was a complete waste of money, but at least I got to say I was on CNN in some way. But I get interviewed by these people who I paid to have interview me, and they put it on Sky Radio, which is something that you only listen to in an airplane, or they also show it.
That's what you have in your ear when you're like trying to trying to get past it, and you're like, every channel I go to, there's like someone talking and doing something that's
right.
What you were on.
That's me. The thing that you bypass so you could get to
the movie or whatever.
Whatever you're trying to listen to or watch. Yeah,
I get it.
So they played it on. Also I would be there when you're sitting waiting for your plane. The TV on with the news and stuff.
Yeah.
I also be on there on a CNN interview. Okay. But that was a pay thing. So there's certain ways
for those of us who don't want to spend $5,000, let's forget about CNN. Let's say you want to get forget you. Let's say a guy,
right?
The guy with brown hair, 6'2", slightly stocky, very handsome, with a beard that kind of looks slightly like a biker beard right now.
I don't know anyone who fits that exact description.
Let's say that guy wants to be on his local TV station or wants his local paper to do a piece about him.
Okay.
What would your approach? Do you just write a press release? To whom do you send that press release? How does it work?
Well, let's talk about things as if I were that guy, but I'll talk about things that I've actually done that I know how to do.
Okay.
Because everything else will be hearsay. Like, I heard this works and heard that works, and it may or may not. But I know certain things do work. So, for example, when I lived in Savannah, Georgia, it's great if you live in a small town like that.
Uh-huh.
Savannah's kind of a big, small town, but it's still a small town.
Right.
Because
it's like where I live, which we're not disclosing. But
we're not disclosing. Yes, you live in a secret location with a population of 5, and they're all members of your cult. And that's in your family. No, Jason does have a wife and 3 kids.
So almost 5.
That's the whole village.
Yeah.
So if you're in the small place, small town, it's a great opportunity. And I talk to a lot of people who want to put me in shows and let me be the host of a show. And so far, these things haven't panned out. But I asked one of them one time, should I move back to LA? Because that'll make me seem more cool, of course. I'm in LA. They said, no, don't do that. Because people on TV like people in small towns. So even in these reality shows, you may remember a show which was filmed not far from where I lived in Savannah, Georgia, which was, who was that girl? She was kind of like dirty, and the family was kind of dirty, and that's kind of the appeal of it. Had a funny name like
the
Big Baby or
Bobo,
something like that. Baby Boo Boo.
Boo Boo.
Something like that.
We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was really big until I think they pulled the plug.
Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo, yeah. I think the mother did something the network didn't like, and they pulled the plug. I think.
Ruh-roh.
Something happened. I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, that had huge appeal because they thought they were observing someone, sort of like when you go to the zoo and you see, animals in their natural environment. That's the way the rest.
Not that you're comparing.
No, but that is kind of the way the country looked at it. Like,
sure.
is this real?
Do these people really live
do they live
yeah.
this way, or
yeah.
do they act like that? And a lot of the reality shows have that appeal. Do people talk to each other like that? The Real Housewives of,
sure.
God knows what'll be next. Do people really have that kind of attitude that they display? Wow. And they want to see it. They want to see the train wreck. They want to see the zoo footage. And it's just a crazy thing. So, anyway, getting it back to reality, actual reality, and your use of this, if you live in a small town, people find that appealing. Also, people in a small town want the local hero or the local expert. They'd rather go local for stuff. And if they have a local go-to person, they like that. So Fox News would call me up around New Year's in my town in Savannah and say, hey, New Year's is coming up. you're a hypnotherapist, right? I'd say, yep. Well, why don't you come on down to the studio and do something about New Year's resolutions and how hypnosis can help?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I get that, but how do you get from being a guy sitting in your house going, gosh, I wish Fox would call me up, to being called up? Is it just, do they have to find you, or can you find them?
Well, I didn't have to find them. They found me because I have a good internet presence. And so once you have a lot of internet presence, and there's typing hypnotherapist, Savannah, Georgia, you know, they're looking for that.
Well, I have a problem because not that many people type hermeticist.
We were going to talk about that also. I change it to something that's more appealing. You said a lot of, even The Secret mentioned hermeticism. Is that right?
Yeah.
But yet they don't call their product, their what they've produced to help people learn. They haven't called the Hermetics. They called it The Secret.
Sure,
that's more appealing.
And I cannot rebrand that at this point because I'm too far deep. But I can try and, you know, create new things that are a little less obscure sounding.
Yeah. Just stop using those jargon words and start using more mainstream words. And you don't even have to reproduce anything. Just rename it, and it's for the layman. It's the layman version.
So. And we were talking about,
but it's not a different version.
Older stuff. I could just re-record it and just have
or not even re-record it. Just, you know, I think people are scared of it. I don't think there's anything in there that's going to be too technical for them, is there?
No.
Okay, so they're just scared of it. So you don't even have to re-record it. You just have to rebrand it, relabel it. You don't have to stop selling the old stuff with the old label. Just sell the new stuff. I mean, the old stuff with the new label. Cool.
I'm into that idea.
There you go.
Some level.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
So where were we? So you're trying to get up. So that's how I got interviewed on Fox.
Has there ever been a case where you approached someone to get on, and how did you do that, and how did that work out?
Yeah. Now some of it again has been like paying a publicist. I paid a publicist one time, I think $5,000 a month for a few months before I realized I didn't need that. All she ever got me was an interview on. What was it? It might have been a Fox affiliate also. It was in Atlanta.
So I'm thinking about becoming a publicist. That seems.
Oh goodness, that's where the real money's at. I'm telling you. It's like, wow.
How many clients could she have at once?
Probably, and that's cheap.
50, right?
Oh yeah, unlimited. That's cheap too. I mean, the higher up ones, the ones that I talked to who are in LA, who I said flat out no to, $25,000 a month. $25,000 a month. Yep. So
and what are they going to? And they're going to deliver enough to you?
No, I would not.
It's worth that amount.
You know, they'll get you on a few shows. They'll get you on this and that. I have a good friend. I'm not going to name who that is, but hired a publicist recently and got in a few shows. Did that for about 6 months. $25,000 a month. Yep. Wow. Got in a few shows. This is already a famous person. Just wanted to pump it up a notch. Pay $25,000 a month for 6 months to a year, and yeah.
Did it pump it up a notch?
I didn't see the value. I really didn't. I
mean, that's 6 months at $25,000. That's you know.
I saw a few. Yeah, even my mom said she saw this person on TV and a few things. Which this person was on TV anyway, but you know, being interviewed on this show and that show. That's what a publicist does. They get you these interviews. But we're talking about how you can do it for little or no money. Do it yourself. Yeah. So let's talk about what the publicist did that I could have done.
Right.
That I could have saved $5,000 for times 3, by the way. I think I kept her 3 months.
A bargain in comparison with your buddy.
Yeah. Who, exactly, yes. Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with how popular you are already. So, for example, my buddy was already a lot more popular than me, so I got to go on more national shows, where I was on more regional shows. On news interviews, so I'm
going to be on, like, I'll be on some guy's podcast. That's where
some Steve G. Jones guy's podcast. That's it.
Oh, we're doing it.
That'll be, but this will be your springboard to greatness.
Right? No, I believe so.
Yes,
I believe so.
Jump higher. So
I think this is a springboard to our morning radio show.
I think so too. Your morning drive on Route 66.
Route 66 with Jason and Steve.
Get your
and
kicks.
Dr. Steve.
Yes, there you go. That's right. He flinches when he says this. He knows he's in trouble when he doesn't say doctor. So
Jason's the color, and Dr. Steve gives out valuable love advice and marketing advice.
Valuable love advice. That's right. Exactly. How to love your website. So So what did the publicist do for me
Yes.
that I could have done myself? Well, all she really did was she had this Rolodex. We don't even use the word Rolodex anymore, but she had these contacts, which were local TV shows in small market. Now, Atlanta's not really a small market, but it's a market she was tied into. A lot of them, because I've met a bunch more since then, a lot of them have ties with these small markets. And like in Phoenix, for example, there's a excuse me, a TV station there. Savannah, Georgia, it's a great place. Atlanta is not a small market, but if you have contacts, you can get into that. All you're really looking for is the right to truthfully say that you appeared on such and such network. You're on CNN or NBC or ABC, one of their affiliate stations. Mm-hmm. So you're able to say that, and it's real and it's true, and you have the footage, which you can also get, and you can put it on the internet. A lot of times shows that I do, you're not allowed to put the footage on the internet, but TV stations don't seem to care about that kind of stuff.
What kind of shows are you talking about?
When I was on Millionaire Matchmaker, when I was on Below Deck.
Oh yeah, because they're kind of protective.
I've been on Millionaire Matchmaker 3 times. Yep, they're very protective. They actually have it plugged in, so if you upload something to YouTube or Facebook, they know it right away because it scans the database of every audio and video that's been submitted, which is everything every professional organization does. They submit, and it catches it right away. The computer catches it automatically. So anyway, the thing that you want to do is reach out to these places yourself. There's nothing stopping you. I mean, these people don't have any magic.
Yeah,
they're just places looking for news stories, and these publicists are just people who call them up and say, "Hey, I got a so and so for you. I got a hypnotherapist. I got a metaphysical guy. I got a medical doctor. I've got this and that." They're providing a service to the TV station.
So would you suggest giving a call or sending an email or?
Well, you need to find out who to talk to.
Yeah,
that's what you need to do.
But can't you do that by just calling the switchboard and going, who's the showrunner?
Exactly.
Or the producer that books guests?
The producer, yes, that's exactly who you want. And so you call up the station, you can send them an email, you can call them up. Different stations are going to respond in different ways, and you get that information. And then you have maybe they want it mailed in, maybe that's their procedure, maybe they want it emailed. But you should have a very concise one sheet, just one sheet that says everything. Who you are, what you're doing, why you'd make an interesting guest. And it's really helpful. Like one of the interviews I did was on a place, I actually didn't want to drive there, but I did it by phone. And it was a TV thing, but they did the interview part by phone. And it was for something about school bullying. And that was the topic that week. And so the publicist saw a way that a hypnotherapist could talk about how hypnosis could help with school bullying, and I started doing some thinking. We brainstormed the night before, then she presented it to the TV station.
Is that when you created the product, How to Feel Better About Bullying?
For bullies? Yeah. For help bullies feel better about themselves? Hopefully that product will never be created, but but the kids who get bullied, I was bullied a little bit in school. Were you ever bullied?
Me too. Oh,
you were?
Terribly, yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah, we had some real mean kids in my school, and they would torture a lot of people. But yeah, I had my book bag thrown in a toilet once, and
wow.
I used to. Yeah, the funny thing is that one of the worst ones was actually a very tiny guy, and he just had these huge friends that he hung out with, and he used to terrorize us. And one day he was all by himself, and I basically I suddenly saw through his magic, and I was like, "What are you doing? You're half my size. Why are you trying to pick on me?"
The terror ended that day.
It did.
We don't need details about how exactly.
No. I mean, it was only moderately violent. So.
Good.
Mostly just sort of standing up for myself.
Good. Well, at any rate, Jason and I are both against bullying, just to be clear, and absolutely. We both have been bullied.
Well, when I was saying that before, I actually meant feeling better about having been bullied.
Okay, you weren't making a joke. You weren't being flippant about the bullying topic at all.
Really wasn't.
Okay, knowing Jason, I thought he was being flippant about the topic. Okay, so Jason is the bad boy of, what do you brand yourself as? The bad boy of...
The bad boy of self-help.
Bad boy of self-help. So I didn't know if that was part of the brand or something.
I could be.
Okay. Well, we don't want that to be in there. So Jason was not trying to help bullies. So yeah, exactly. That's what the interview was about.
Bullies do need to feel better than
They do. That's why they bully.
That's about what they're doing, but
about themselves. So they don't bully. Yeah. And the people who are getting bullied need to feel better, so they don't get picked on and don't put out that vibe. But it's really not. We're not making them the reason for this. Bullies are the reason for bullying. Right. Nobody should have to live in fear. But when people learn how to be more confident, how to stand up for themselves, how to report things.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You need. I mean, that was the thing. I never told anyone about it at all.
You're scared you'll get your butt kicked. Yeah, exactly. It'll get worse.
Yeah,
and that just exacerbates everything. Not telling makes things worse.
You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit stevegjones.com.
So, at any rate, when I got on that interview, I just called it in and I got on it. That was something that just worked out really well because their bullying was very popular, because somebody had just committed suicide because they were bullied too much, and they were doing a news piece on it, and I could do my part for the world by showing how you can build up your confidence and not be as negatively affected by this, and potentially get yourself out of these types of situations by just building up who you are. And it worked out really well. So if you see, for example, something in the news that kind of sort of ties into what you do, that's a good time to contact that station.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like because of what I do has sort of that dark, mysterious quality to it to some people, that around Halloween and those sorts of times of the year, it's probably a good time for me to do more of a media blitz. But I mean, I also feel like kind of any time is a good time for me.
Think like a publicist. They've got all these people as their clients. They've got all this news happening all the time.
Yeah.
So they're hyper vigilant. They're always watching the news. How can I fit Joe into this? How can I fit John into that? How can I fit Sally into that?
Yeah.
And they're like switchboard operators from the old days, connecting this, connecting that.
And think just constantly be thinking about ways in which what I know and what I do could be useful to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is that I do sort of like psychic entertainment stuff as well. So I think that's kind of something, again, topical, most topical at the time of year of the Halloween and that stuff. But I think something also that's a good sort of filler for things as well. So I might go for that.
Well, if you have something set up where you can do a tarot card reading, I don't, you have to realize that news channels are owned by big companies in a lot of cases, or they have their own personality, and that means they like certain things and they don't like certain things. For example, I was going to run a commercial on a major network a few years back, but I found out they don't accept commercials about hypnosis. That's just their policy. They do not accept
that. I probably wouldn't lead with tarot cards or something like that, but I might lead with palm reading. I don't think that's as weird to people.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, you have to. I would look for things that are. I can see how that would be helpful around Halloween or something. Yeah. People might want to do something on that. But also look at just events. What events are going on that you can have something to say about it?
Sure.
That makes sense. That would be helpful in the overall conversation about that.
Well, certainly for me, I'm gonna have to put a thinking cap on that, because my stuff is so kind of unique and interesting. But I bet I could come up with some ideas if I'm given some time. But I bet a lot of other people out there probably, they can think of, more times that are directly applicable.
Well, it's all about getting out there and making it happen. So I wouldn't wait till something like that happens. I would let them know about, find the ones that you want to get into, small towns that are open to this kind of thing. You're not going to know right off the cuff who's open to this kind of thing.
Right.
I'll tell Jason off the interview some specific places. I don't want to tell them to everyone, because then everyone will bombard these places and then they won't be good anymore. They'll just say, no, we don't accept that anymore. But you can search them out.
That's one of the advantages of being Steve G. Jones's friend since before he was Steve G. Jones.
Yes.
Back when he was just Steve Jones. No, actually, you were always Steve G. Jones.
I think I was born Steve G. Jones.
Yeah.
What shall we call him? Steve G. Jones. Yeah, that fits.
Yep. and it does.
And then it became Dr. Steve G. Jones.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're forgiven. You're forgiven. But this time. But let's see. So we're talking about average person with not much media coverage living in their town, wherever they live.
Sure.
Just get on the phone, call up the TV stations in your town and say, hey, here's me. Here's what I do. I just want to let you know I'm available. They'll probably say, "Oh, good. Send us a one sheet. Send us something about you. Send us your press kit." Don't get scared by that. If they say send your press kit, just if you wrote a book, send it to them. If you didn't, don't worry about it. Even if you self-published it, autograph it for them. Send it to them. If you didn't, don't worry about it. If you produced a CD, sign it over to them. Send it. If you didn't, don't worry about it. If you don't have anything that you've actually done in a physical nature, then just send a sheet just saying who you are, what you do, and why you'd be good on the air.
Now,
That's
Steve, if you've written a book that's not directly related to the reason that you want to be on there, you probably shouldn't send that, right? I mean,
no, you do, because in your letter you're going to explain things. You're going to say, I'm an occult writer, which you are, an occult writer, is that right? And then I'm asking the guy I've known for over 20 years, or something like that. Is that right? Yeah, but I know you do many other things as well. But then you'd say, but I can also do interviews on this and this and this and this.
So my letter can contain that, because when we were talking about internet marketing in our last conversation, you were saying don't include too much because you're going to sound desperate. So if I say I'm an expert in 10 things, is that too much?
We were talking about how you, in the last conversation that you're referencing, how to get someone's email address on a website, and you wanted to add all these benefits they get if they give you their email address, and I said that's overselling it. Now you sound desperate, so just give them one thing. In this case, you want to have a few things out there
so that they can think.
They want to see how they can use you, on their broadcast.
Now, I don't want you to have to offend anyone, but do you feel like the people who are working on these shows really think that way, like outside of the box? I actually want to tell you a funny story. I was in Orlando. I literally had been working a 13-hour day doing for the first half of my day, I was at this college event for 17 magazine doing handwriting analysis for teenage girls.
What?
Yeah.
That's a college?
What?
That's a college?
No, it was at UCF in Orlando.
Okay.
Doing a handwriting analysis for girls. They were, as part of a booth.
And you have daughters, we should mention.
Yeah. No. I mean, it was. My wife was doing it too. We were both doing it.
Okay. There's no such thing as bad publicity. I like it.
So we were doing handwriting analysis all day, and then after that, we went to another party for a technology company, and I did emoji readings, which is basically I would look at the emojis on people's phone and give them sort of a personality assessment, like sort of psychic reading, but more
based on the emojis that they chose.
The emojis that they regularly use.
Oh, okay.
And it was very fun but so I'd been working for 13 hours. I get in a car and I see a message on my phone saying, "Hi, I'm the producer of Jenny McCarthy's radio show, and we're out in LA and we're gonna be interviewing the Real Housewives of LA, and one of them's really into astrology, so we thought it might be fun to have a tarot reader on the show."
Okay.
And I was like, "What? Hell's yeah, get me there!" And so like I called up this producer. I was like delirious from having worked so hard all day, and I get him on the phone and he goes, "Oh yeah, we'd love to have you. Glad you called back. Just show up at the studio, at like 8 a.m. and here it is. It's midnight on the East Coast. So I mean, that's like
you were living in on the East Coast.
I was in Orlando, Florida,
and they wanted you the next morning.
They wanted me in LA because obviously this guy had done some sort of research and he saw that it says somewhere on the internet that I live in LA. Which guy did, right, back when we were
used to. Yeah.
So he thought I was in LA, and so that opportunity didn't happen. But
you didn't get on the plane and fly all night and go there?
I would have, but I couldn't even. I actually looked, but I mean, once he knew I was in Orlando, he kind of lost interest. But so I mean, he was thinking outside the box because he knew Jenny McCarthy and this woman were gonna have a fun conversation, and having a tarot card reader might make it crazy, and I kind of have a reputation for being fun and interesting with my readings. So
really,
yeah, you know that.
I know that. I'm just kidding. You're very fun and interesting. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in a car with you for 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, the point I make, well, the reason I brought that up is because that guy was definitely clearly thinking in a creative way. But do you think that most local television producers, because he's obviously a national producer and stuff, local television producers are thinking like, what are some interesting ways that we can cover this topic that are outside the norm? Or do you have to kind of sell yourself? In that situation?
Yeah, reality TV will come up with all kinds of wacky stuff. Anytime I've been on reality TV, they always come up with all kinds of stuff. They want it, the crazier the better. The more drama, the better.
Right.
Local TV doing a local news spot, they're not looking for that. They want something interesting, but they also want it to be poignant, mainstream, and not scare people away. So, yeah, you have to think differently with that. Two different types of approach. But the TV stuff is good. I mean, if you're getting contacted by them, that is a very good sign. When was this?
I considered it a good sign. It was like 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, recently. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't long ago, but I do think it was an accident that he basically thought I was in LA, and it actually made me go to Jennifer. Maybe we need to move back to LA.
I was just thinking that myself. Let's all go back to LA.
Well, it's the sales tax, income tax.
Oh,
it's
my
just
goodness.
Crazy there.
And oh goodness, don't get me started. These fines, these signs that if you block the intersection, it's a $500 fine. I've never seen a state that punishes their people so much as California, but it also rewards them with beautiful weather,
sure,
and fun things to do,
and wonderful entertainment industry and technology industry. So.
yes, it's got a lot of that. Of course, some of that has moved out because they prefer states like Texas, where there's no state income tax.
Right.
But anyway, California is a lovely, lovely state. We both live there. We're moving back, clearly, because of the opportunities. But all right, so that's a little side note there. We have the AC on because we're actually in the desert and we're burning up. Does it say the temperature?
It says it's 74, but
74 is not 74.
I find that very ugly.
Add a 1 in front of that. I think it's 174 today.
Maybe it only goes up to 99.
It broke. Then it started dropping. So we were talking about how to get in media and so forth. Yeah, if somebody calls you, that's great. That will happen from time to time. I get a lot of this and that. Usually it doesn't go anywhere. They want to put this person on, put that person on. I've also found that TV producers tend to be, I don't know if disrespectful is the right word, but they're more aware of their time and their needs than your time and your needs.
Well, he definitely, he saw me as a commodity for sure. He wasn't like, oh, I'm excited to have Jason Augustus Newcomb on. He was just like, we got a
gap to fill. Yeah. We got to fill it. It's my job. Yep.
And he like basically, he practically hung up on me when he realized, I wasn't in the right place. Like, oh, thanks. Sorry for your time.
Yeah. Producers have a way of disappearing also after you do something. I won't name any producers, but I've had at least one say to me, hey, we should work together and produce something for you after this. And then I reach out to them and crickets.
Sure.
So, anyway, that's the national shows.
I think that's humans in general.
It could be.
People get excited about stuff and they're into it in that moment, and then
that's over, and then they're on to the next thing. Yep. And I'm sure we're all guilty of it. But local stuff tends to be different. The level of respect is higher. The publicity is not as high, but you can take them and put them on YouTube, which is global. Put it on Facebook, which is global. You can take that footage of you being on that newscast. So that's why you really don't need to leave your hometown. You don't need to branch out and move across the country or anything. You can just stay right where you are and reach out and get on something.
Well, I also do some performance art things, so for me, local makes sense because that's who's going to book me more often than someone in California.
Now what is performance art?
I do entertaining. I do psychic entertainment as a living as well.
Okay.
So I go to parties and do palm reading and tarot reading. I also do something like a magic show, but it's not really tricks. It's using the powers of the mind genuinely to do interesting entertainment. So.
That stuff's good for magazines. It depends on the type of magazines, but there are magazines that cover that kind of thing, and they're interested in doing news spreads. Now, beware. Sometimes the deal with magazines is you have to advertise with them in order for them to do a write-up about you.
Sure.
I've been written up in I've been written up in a magazine, at least one that I know, 2 different ones. Didn't have to pay either time. one was local, one was like Women's World. It was a national one. One was local. It was called South Magazine. That was when I was in Savannah. They did an interview on me. Didn't have to. There's no quid pro quo. I didn't have to do this for that. I just got written up because they wanted an article, and they did a wonderful multi-page, multicolor article on me. So that's something that they came to me, but you can go to them. I mean, you can go to local magazines if you have one, which I'm sure you do.
We've got
local newspapers,
tons, yeah.
And then you get that and you put it on your website or you put it on the internet. You get their permission, of course, it's copywritten, and then you put it on wherever you can put it, and you also reference it as seen on this, as seen on that, as seen in this newspaper. That helps build your resume, if you will. Now,
the quid pro quo stuff where they want you to. I know that there's at least one magazine in my local area, which I won't name, but I'm pretty sure has that kind of an attitude. Is there a way of getting them to just sort of like overlook it because I'm world famous and stuff, or no?
Yeah. I mean, there was no value per se in them doing a write-up on me, except it's something interesting.
You mean value for you?
There's tremendous value for me. There's no value for the magazine per se, except they got to have an interesting article in there.
Sure.
But they would have been much better served by, I don't know, maybe helping out people who were actually doing some advertising with them. I don't know if that's the kind of arrangement they ever had with any of their people, but they would have. And if I ran a magazine, I'd probably do that. If you're advertising with me, I'm going to do a write-up on you. But for me, it wasn't like that. And I imagine for in general, it's like that, not like that, because I don't know how these things run. Trying not to say things that might get me in trouble here. So, because the fact is, I don't know how these things happen, but I do know that in some places they do happen, like the mystery one that you mentioned. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so you may be able to do what we call pay for play type deal, quid pro quo, which is Latin for this, for that. You may be able to do one of those deals. But you want to know if they would just give you a freebie, and I'm saying they may very well, because the magazine I got written up in, it was just a freebie, and I'm sure they do a lot of that.
Those magazines and even TV shows and stuff, I do think that they are, looking for material.
Yeah.
Because you have to provide something, or else it doesn't really. Their advertisers don't have anything to advertise.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean that does make sense, and I think for me, if I, again, this is another, I'm just going to be disclosing my own inner problems, but I think for me there's a part of me that feels like I don't want to be told no.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and I believe me, I've done sales and stuff, so I know that you kind of have to get past that, but I think there's something still internally inside me that's just sort of putting the kibosh on approaching some of those things because of that. But I think that this is helping me to go, there's really no reason not to just approach everybody.
Well, first of all, at stevegjones.com, you can find a recording for Overcome Fear of Rejection. Secondly, I would just have someone else do it, have an assistant, or even if it's just a virtual assistant who, they're in India or something, and they're putting together. They're sending out something that you put together, that you spell checked and you wrote, but they're reaching out to all these sources for you, not just in your local town, but maybe some of the surrounding small towns.
Well, how much do they charge for that? Because I've got friends that I could probably just pay them to do that instead of going to India.
I try never to hire friends. I say don't hire someone you can't fire.
Oh no, these are people that I'm sorry, friends of my wife that I can fire.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, I'm sure that would cause no problem for her whatsoever.
Oh, no. That would be fine.
Okay. Well,
remind me, Jennifer's not listening to this.
Yeah, Jennifer, if you're listening, just forget that you heard.
That never happened.
This is not really your husband. This is someone pretending to be him, who's saying terrible things. But, you can get a friend to do that, sure. And if you want. So that you don't have to, they shield you from the blow. Like when the no happens, you don't even hear about it. You're like, I don't want to hear about it. Just let me know when we get a yes. Yeah, why not? Any other questions about that? We've actually It's a pretty lengthy podcast
I
for
think-
us.
I think
We're at
that's
about
pretty
the 38 minutes. Wow.
I think that we can let this one go.
Now, once we edit out all the bad parts, it's going to be 5 minutes, so maybe we should continue. All right, well, in closing, I'll just say that if you have any more questions, we'll answer them in a future podcast. And Jason, thanks for being a representative of a lot of people out there who say, hey, I got these great ideas, I got these products, maybe I haven't even created them yet, but I got these great products, and how the heck am I going to market them, and how am I going to get some publicity when I don't want to spend any money or don't have any money to spend?
Before I let you close this out, let's just go ahead and mention my products, which do exist, and they're at JasonAugustusNewcomb.com.
I thought you were going to close with a prayer.
No.
JasonAugustusNewcomb.com.
And right now, at this moment, which is 2016, although you're maybe listening to this extremely valuable program hundreds of years from now.
Yes, yes.
You know, it's gonna be standing the test of time.
Yes.
This probably will be a university required program for people to listen to.
Required listening.
Yeah. But right now you can get a discount on my products if you utilize the code Steve G Jones, all in capital letters. You get a 30% discount off of anything that's downloadable on my site.
Wow. I like it.
JasonAugustusNewcomb.com.
Whoa. That sounds like a deal. I'm going to go there right now.
You should.
Actually,
No,
I don't think we have internet connection.
We're in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah. We're in these nice, beautiful snow-capped mountains
Really
on
is.
Route 66. This is really awesome. I see some greenery, too, which is
Unfortunately,
nice.
the traffic has come to a halt.
Traffic has stopped. That's how we're able to enjoy that's how Jason's able to look around now, finally, even though he's driving. All right, that concludes our Route 66 marketing podcast. And thank you, Jason. Please,
Thank you.
My pleasure. And please visit this website, JasonAugustusNewcomb.com. He's got a wife. He's got 3 kids. I'm not making that part up.
No.
And he's the breadwinner of the family, so it's all dependent on Jason's income. So even if you want to do your charity work, you can go there.
And if you're a TV producer, definitely have me on.
If you're a TV producer, and you'll fly Jason out to LA from Florida, and you'll pay for it, and give him a few extra bucks.
And I'll do some
Massage,
readings.
like foot massage.
I'll do some. I don't need a massage.
You're not like
I don't
all the
know
brown
who-
M&Ms.
I don't know
or
who this
anything.
person is. I don't know who's touching my
Well, they
feet.
wouldn't do it. They'd have they'd have a virtual assistant do it. So they'd give you a virtual
fly
massage
them in from India.
Yeah, they wouldn't even fly in. They just phone in the massage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds okay. That sounds fine.
Your
Sign me
wife
up.
wouldn't have any problem with it.
No, virtual massage.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. And once again, that's JasonAugustusNewcomb.com. No virtual massage there, but a lot of great stuff. I've known Jason for a long time now. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of great stuff out there. He just wants you to learn and check it out. I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones, and on behalf of myself and Jason Augustus Newcomb, here from Route 66, we hope you have
A wonderful day.
a wonderful day, or as I like to say, an outstanding day.
As I like to say, go out and lead your life to the fullest.
Well, that's a Leo talking right there.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm going to say, explore your world, which is what we're doing right now. All right. Talk to you soon.
You are listening to an interview with clinical hypnotherapist Dr. Steve G. Jones. For a free hypnosis download, please visit SteveGJones.com.